Over the years, the developer industry around building apps has practically exploded on the scene. Having an app is like what it was to have a web page in the 1990s. We all wanted one. The Apple App Store was officially launched on July 10, 2008. According to Apple, since then, there have been more than 1 million apps written and made available in the App Store, with more than 10 billion downloads. You have decided to launch a career in iOS app development and have an idea that you want to translate into an app. So, let's get you started. In this video, you'll learn to convert your idea into an app and understand the steps before beginning development. Let us say you want to build an app that will help music enthusiasts keep track of information about various music bands. It will help users jot down details of a band, say when at a music concert or even while listening to music in the car. In other words, this app could be used to take notes about a music band, such as the band's or the lead singer's name. Take pictures of the band. Tell friends about the band. Search for the band on the web. Find places to buy merchandise related to the band. Plot tour dates of the band. Read band reviews. Create a multimedia library to store the band's music, and preview the tracks of the band. With this in mind, let's look at the various stages of developing such an app for the iPhone OS. Now that you have conceived the idea for an app, you will need to name it. The name that you choose for your app should be catchy, memorable, and should describe what the app does. The app name should be unique within the App Store so as to avoid duplicity. To check for the availability of a name, search the App Store. Also note that the app name should be no more than 12 characters long, else it will appear truncated on the iPhone screen. Let's consider the name Bands for the app that you wish to develop. That was about naming an app. Next, you would need to create a scope for the app. While scoping for your app, keep in mind that your app should be useful but also realistic. Having too many features not only takes a lot of development time, but might also make the app difficult to use for first-time users. On the other hand, having very few features might make your app less useful. The key is to find the right balance of features. Therefore, to define the scope of your band's app, start with listing down the functions that you would like it to have. For instance, this app would help 1. Add any number of music bands. 2. Take notes about a music band. 3. Take pictures of a music band. 4. Tell your friends about a music band. 5. Search for a music band on the web. 6. Find places to buy merchandise related to a music band. 7. Plot all the tour dates of a music band. 8. Retrieve and read reviews from publications and critics of a music band. 9. Have an associated multimedia library for the music of the band. 10. Preview the tracks of a music band. Now that you have the list ready, it's time you review it for the features that would define the scope of your app and remove those ideas that are either duplicates of Apple's native apps or are impractical to implement. For instance, you can easily do away with the plot all the tour dates of a music band feature from the scope of your band's app because this would be difficult to implement. Also, it wouldn't be practical for a user to manually enter tour dates, which would in turn lead to the feature being used rarely. Another feature that can be removed is the retrieve and read reviews from publications and critics of a music band. This is because it will be difficult to look for sources from where you can retrieve reviews. Also, handling copyright issues associated with these reviews would be difficult too. A third feature that may require reconsideration is the associated multimedia library for a band's music. Since this feature is already available in Apple's native app, you can take this feature off the scope of your band's app. With that, you have a final list of ideas for your app. You can now go ahead and define its features. This will help you calculate the time and effort needed for the development of the app. Let's try and define the features for our Bands app. The first feature is adding a band. The Bands app should enable users to note down information about a music band for easy access on their phones. This includes adding the band's name to the app, notes about the band, as well as an optional picture. The app should also enable users to rate a band. The user should be able to record if the band is on tour, off tour, or disbanded. They should also be able to mark if they have seen the band's performance live. A simple user interface that lists all these features in one place and allows the users to edit them would be a logical choice. The user should also be able to add a picture of the band, and thus the app would require access to the camera or a photo library. The next feature is saving multiple bands. The Bands app should be able to save multiple music bands. This means that the app should have some sort of persistent storage, as well as a way to view all the bands and find them quickly. Sharing bands is another feature. When users find a music band they like, they will want to tell others. The Bands app should be able to send emails and text messages, which are pre-formatted with information the users add about a band. Having the ability to share a band through social media tools such as Facebook, Twitter, and Flickr would also be useful. Yet another feature to be considered is searching for a band on the web. The user should be able to search the web for more information about music bands they like. Therefore, the app should have an inbuilt, lightweight browser so that users do not need to use mobile Safari. The app should also be user-friendly and do an initial search for the users. Also, consider finding local record stores as a feature. If users want to buy tickets for a local show or a poster for a band they like, they might need to find a record store. The Bands app should be able to show a map with pins marking all the record stores located close to the user's location. Finally, the feature for searching for tracks should also be considered. The users might like to find new tracks of a band and preview them. The Bands app should, therefore, enable users to sample new tracks, and if they like them, they should be able to purchase them through the iTunes Store. Now that you have defined all the features of the app, one final step before starting its development is the creation of a development plan with time and effort estimates. Once you have a plan in place, you can start development of an app. To develop an app, you need to use Objective-C and Cocoa Touch, which are the language and framework used to create iOS apps. Developing an app also requires the use of Xcode, which is the Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, from where you can implement each feature of an app. Once the features are implemented, the app must be sent to beta testers before it can get into the App Store. Before we wrap up, see if you can answer this question based on what you've learned so far. If you thought option D was the correct answer, you are right. While naming an app, you need to choose a name that is memorable, unique in the App Store, and is no more than 12 characters long. Here is a recap of the key points covered in this session.